Hail and greetings, Ragnarok Prepper here. Today I'd like to talk about a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. It seems like, looking around the prepper community, it's hard to find information about prepping with your children. I'm sure that many preppers have children or have the potential to have children at some point in time. So it's something that we need to prepare for. So I'm going to start a series of videos where we're going to look at various topics about prepping with your kids. We're going to look at different topics and discuss them on a video by video basis. I'm going to do a general overview today, and then we'll follow that up and see where it goes. For those of you who don't know, my wife and I are a few short of a baker's dozen, so to say. So prepping with our children, I just can't imagine not prepping with your children. I'm not talking about just for your children. I'm talking about with. There's a big difference. Our children need to be involved. They need the knowledge now. They need their parents to guide them, to teach them, because they're not just going to know things that they haven't been taught, things that you haven't shared with them. So I advise you, please, get your kids involved. The younger, the better. Here on the homestead, at the ripe old age of 2, you start getting homestead tasks. Whether it's gathering eggs, or helping to feed the chickens or the turkeys, or pouring water for the ducks or the hogs. The younger you start getting your child used to responsibility, it's going to benefit you and them their entire lives. Now, one thing I want to stress as we go into this topic is nutrition. Nutrition is essential for young, growing children. To have deficiencies or to have their needs not met in a SHTF situation will cause irreversible harm. They're easily susceptible to dehydration, to malnutrition. These things can be and are detrimental. Look at third world countries today. We don't want our children to end up being permanently disabled or even cause their end just because we weren't prepared for a situation. So I'm going to take you over here to the shed and we're going to discuss a few items. So here we are. I lined up a few items I'd like to discuss as we expand this topic. So let's get started and move right on to it. Now, I'm going to start talking about infants first. And, one thing to remember about that is even though you may not have an infant with you currently, the possibility of coming into contact with one or with a new arrival is very probable. So even if you don't currently have an infant, it does not hurt to have some of these supplies on hand, just because. This is all about being prepared for anything. So although it is best, as we all know, to breastfeed an infant, you're always going to want to have some kind of backup supply. Mom could dry up very easily in an SHTF scenario due to nutritional items, lack of, stress, or even worse. You could become separated, or she could even be deceased. That's not something you want to catch yourself in. Even if something unfortunate did occur, you want to have your backup plan, and powdered infant formula is the way to go.
If you're not aware, you can purchase it already hydrated, but you're going to end up with a lot of extra weight and space. You're better off just to go with the powder. Now, usually infants are, selective in their formula. You may want to stock a variety of different types of formula. Some infants can be very specific, and others not so much. Something else you'll want to make sure you stock, and preferably prenatal, but is make sure you have vitamins for any breastfeeding women. It'll really help stop the situation before it occurs if there were to be a nutritional dry out. Pack them both. Now, if you're unable to stock formula and you end up in a situation where you do need it, there are several recipes available online to make your own formula, and most of them call for common prep items such as powdered milk or evaporated milk, oil, sugar, and water. I would definitely print out a hard copy of that and just stick it in with your preps. You never know when you might need it. And it's better to have it when you won't have access to it in the normal fashion. So it never hurts. But I do want to say that even if you do stock the formula and you never use it or you don't use it all, that formula can also be used as a supplement for adult humans. It's a nutritional supplement and value across every age range. Now, I do want to remind you, in case you don't know, that whatever you do not want to feed your infant cow's milk. It doesn't provide enough vitamins, iron, or even essential fatty acids. And the real problem is that it will cause an overload of protein, sodium, and even potassium in your child, which will bring about renal failure and possible internal bleeding and cause the infant to quickly dehydrate before you're even aware. So never feed an infant cow's milk. They recommend you wait at least a year before they try cow's milk. So if you're stocking your formula, you're also going to need to stock bottles, something to feed them with. Make sure you keep them as sterile as possible, especially if we're in SHTF. You don't want a simple infection to occur just because you didn't use a clean bottle or a clean sippy cup. Already being in a stressed nutritional state, those things can happen very easily. Now, over here, we have diapers. Diapers, you got to stock them tall, and you got to stock as many sizes as you can. I know during the last pandemic, the first year of the pandemic, around here, diapers were hard to find. Varying sizes, and it always seemed to be the size that you needed is never in stock at the time. So I know there's ways you can roll them tight. They can do all kinds of interesting things with disposable diapers, but you're not going to be able to carry as many of them as you'll need if you've bugged out. So definitely roll some up, keep them in your bug out bag, but you're also going to want to have to look at cloth diapers as well. Get some. They have Velcro ones now. They have the old pin ones. Familiarize yourself with how to apply them. Now, when you're not humping through the woods, so that way when the time comes, you know what to do. In a pinch, you could use handkerchiefs, t-shirts, or other clothing. But you also might want to look at the plastic covers that go alongside the cloth diapers. That'll save you a lot of mess in the long run. And that's always a good thing. Now also you're going to want wipes. Stack them high too. People were using them for everything. Cleaning. They were buying them up, especially when stores ran out of the chemical wipes or the disinfectant wipes, people were taking these and using them, and it was very hard to find. So I would say stack them high. You know, as any parent knows alongside, they're great for cleaning baby bottoms and have numerous other uses. In a bug out situation, having some would be better than none. You know, you could also use them to wash your hands, etc. Or you could stack extra handkerchiefs that can be used as a reusable wipe. The next item I wanted to talk about, which unfortunately I do not have here with me as it's still in the truck from our hike the other day, is an infant carrier. And I'm not talking about a car seat. I'm talking about the type that is used for backpacking and hiking, etc. There are numerous variations, but they either carry the child against your chest or on your back. Now, this is very similar to the Native American papoose. What can I say? Ancient wisdom. This method of carrying the child, it keeps the baby tight, secure, warm, and soothing. Definitely. Children love being in close contact with their parents, and so this is a naturally more safe and secure position if you were bugging out. It would help keep the child safe, and it will also comfort them. And it brings quiet and calm, which is going to be essential in these desperate situations. Some parents use pacifiers. If you use a pacifier, that could be another means to keep the child calm and safe while they're carried next to you. Next, we're going to talk about baby food. Yes, you definitely want to stock baby food in some form. But as we all know, these glass jars here, they're going to take up a lot of space. They're heavy, and they're very fragile. In truth, they're more of a convenience because any parent knows that food can be manipulated. You can add water, you can chop it, you can dice it. You can smooth it out into the consistency that your infant child needs. Also, now they do make these pouches here that contain the baby food, which would definitely be a lot better for prepping. And throwing a couple of these in your bug out bag or your child's bug out bag is a good idea. That way you can just pop the top. You don't even need a spoon. You can just kind of give them a little taste at a time. We got all types of flavors this way now. And there's something for everyone. And also, if push comes to shove, this would also be a nutritional value to anyone. You know, young children these days, they're eating all kinds of things out of pouches. Whether it's applesauce or fruit or yogurt, you know, they wouldn't even know the difference. I've tried them. They taste pretty good, actually. I'm surprised. So next I want to talk about toddlers. If you have a toddler, you're definitely going to want to take and stock up on some sippy cups. Whatever style cup that your child is comfortable with is what you're going to want. There's no sense in... I do always hear the argument that, you know, your child's going to have to learn to drink out of a cup someday. And you're right, they will. But if you're in a bug out situation or an SHTF situation, now's not the time to make that argument. It's not going to hurt if your child uses a sippy cup for a little bit longer time, especially if it's getting fluid into them. That's what you want to worry about right now, is how much fluid intake they are getting, not how mature they are or whatever the situation may be. Just stock up on some sippy cups. In the long run, it's going to help you out. Now, the safety harness, or the kid leash as they call it. I've never been a fan of these. I always believe that children should know their boundaries and that parents should be constantly attentive and engaged with their children. Your child should not be running rampant away from you and put into harm's way without your knowledge. You should be... Your eyes should be on your children at all times. But in a situation where you're bugging out, whether it be in the woods or, out the city streets, wherever, it may pay to have something like this to keep that child close to you. It only takes a second to trip over a log or fall in a pothole or roll down a hill. And you may not be able to quickly help that child back to the situation or back to the travel route. So in a situation like this, just like mountain climbers, it wouldn't hurt to have an attachment, a physical attachment to that child at all times. Now, they also make child carriers. We currently do not have one for a toddler, but from my research, it seems that they go up to about a 50-pound weight limit. So you could purchase one of those to keep your child or your youngling secure and safe at all times. Now, just keep in mind, though, that if you are going to use something like a child carrier, that you're going to have to factor that in with your bug out bags and other evacuation scenarios. You're not going to want a 50-pound child on your back and a 70-pound rucksack, etc., etc. Make sure you make some kind of adjustments so that you're ready to go when the time comes. Now I'm going to talk about children in general. Water and food goes without saying. All children must eat, all humans must eat. But make sure you're prepping food that they will eat. We already know that you should be using your pantry and making prepared meals so that they are familiar with some of these foods. Every child's not going to run into an MRE. Every child's not going to have access to freeze-dried food. So that's not going to be a pleasant change for them. So stack something extra. We should always be prepping food that we know our family's going to eat. There's no point in having 700 pounds of lima beans if no one in your family enjoys lima beans. That prep was a waste because you could have prepped something more nutritional, something that everyone enjoys or more people enjoy. Yeah, I could turn around and barter them lima beans away, but in this day and age, good luck with that. And I'm not saying that you need to have 500 bags of candy or anything like that. But, little packs of trail mix, maybe the prepared pasta in the can. My one daughter loves rice, ready rice. It's quick, it's easy, you can heat it up. It's not a big deal, so why not have some? They make tons of different kinds of water flavorings now. Prep some of those. If your child doesn't drink a lot of water normally, this is a good way to get them to drink that water. And you could find flavors that they enjoy. Make sure you always are finding what they enjoy. Because just going the same thing as the lima beans. If every one of your children hates cherry, then don't get cherry. Get something that they're going to enjoy. They also would be a great thing for once you do filter that water from the river and it still has that not so right taste. This might cover it up and get that young child to drink it when normally they wouldn't. So anything that's going to help is always better. Take the extra time to know what your children enjoy, to know what they need. Let's see. But, at the same time, as I was just saying, regularly they should be trying this thing. Let's have an MRE meal day. Or let's, pull out freeze-dried fruit and make a dessert with it. Get them used to these different textures, different consistencies, freeze-dried versus powdered, versus MRE versus the desserts, the Augustine Farms. There are so many different, quote, prepper foods out there that your children should be trying them just as you should be as well. Don't be stacking something to the ceiling and then know that when push comes to shove, it's not what you want. Now, kids are resilient, as we know. But as I keep saying, any bit of normalcy is going to be beneficial. Anything. Whether it's that little piece of candy or fruit snack, whatever it may be, it's going to benefit you and your children. Now, hygiene items also. You want to make sure you're getting baby shampoos and lotions, A&D ointment, diaper rash creams. Don't forget varying sizes of toothbrushes and toothpaste. You never know how long this situation's going to go, so stock it all. Have a little bit of everything. It's better than having nothing. For first aid, you already know what you need here. You would need the same things that you yourself would need. Just because they're tiny or small humans doesn't make it any different whether they scratch their knee or get a sunburn. Have these first aid items available. And hey, why not spend that $1 and get some little cool Band-Aids that, the kids would like? It's not going to hurt. It's going to help that situation, that comfort. Medicine, yes. Make sure you're stocking children's and infant versions of like ibuprofen, Benadryl, acetaminophen, the Pepto-Bismol. You want to have children's medicine. Yes, it is possible for them to use adult versions of popular medicines, but I would not do that without consulting your doctor. I'll leave it at that. But you also want to make sure that you have vitamins too. Especially due to the nutritional crisis that we may be facing. Have some vitamins. They make so many different kinds now. They have the chewable, they have gummies, they have regular vitamins if your child can take pills that way. There's really no excuse not to have some form that your child enjoys. Make sure also with your medicine here that you have the cups and syringes that are available to dose the child. Yes, it does include one inside, but you may want extras. You never know where that little tiny cup's going to disappear. Even during normal life, those cups disappear all the time. The syringes malfunction. So having backups to those backups is going to save you in the long run. And don't forget to stock up on your antibiotic creams. That's another big one. Kids get bumps, scratches, nicks, and bruises all the time. And you're going to definitely need that triple antibiotic ointment in an SHTF situation. When we no longer have access to those easy things like doctors or running to the ER, you're going to need to be able to treat your child before an infection sets in. Look back in history. Infections were so deadly and dangerous when they did not have the medical treatments that we have today. So the littlest thing becomes a bigger problem the further back we go in time. So be ready for that. What's up, Boog?
Yeah, that cat scratched me.
Well, I'm going to have to clean that up. I'm almost done. The next thing I wanted to talk about here was electrolytes. We know that children are highly susceptible to dehydration. They're not prone to drinking as much water as necessary. And even in a situation where water is not going to be available, it wouldn't hurt to have Pedialyte. It comes in liquid form. They have it now in the powdered forms as well. You can get it with immune support, different additives to it. You can also get Gatorade, but some kind of electrolyte powder or liquid is going to be a necessity. It can be used also for adults. So don't forget that. As you can see here, great for kids and adults. So these things, these electrolyte powders can be beneficial to your child and to you in general. But you're definitely going to want to have this come a situation where one of your children are dehydrated. It's a very, very common thing in this day and age and this time that we're living in now. So it's going to be even worse when we move into a situation where we don't have access to all of these things. Now, clothing goes without saying as well. Don't forget, stock up on those clothes. And remember, you're going to need as many sizes as you can find. Your child is going to grow, shrink. You know, you got to be ready for anything. You got to be ready for the different seasons. Have jackets, boots, pants, onesies, socks, underwear. All of those things are going to be necessities that you may not be able to just run down to the store and get. You know, and for you, if you have multiple children, this is a great thing because the hand-me-downs. You know, we grew up with hand-me-downs. And in a pinch, a shove, you're going to want to have those clothes. Nobody wants their children running around naked without shoes on. So I make sure you're stocking up those shoes too. Get various sizes. I know my son, he goes through shoes like they're going out of style, no doubt. I swear, it feels like he wears them for a month and he needs a new pair. But when you don't have the opportunity to get new pairs, and unless you're bushcraft savvy and making your own moccasins from the hides that you've obtained, you're going to want to have some backups until you can learn to make those moccasins. Don't forget also hats, gloves, shoelaces. I like to replace shoelaces with 550 cord, but hey, quick run, shoelaces better than nothing. Now, entertainment. Let's go over here. So we have a little variety of toys here. So what you're going to want is to have your children's favorite toys. We all know what they are. Whether it's, Mr. Stuffed Teddy Bear or it's the Hulk down here. Every child has their favorite toy. And if you are going into a bug out situation, that toy can make one heck of a difference in how your child handles the situations that they're in. Most of the children use at least their favorite toy as a security blanket. Keep that toy with you. If you can get an extra one, buy an extra one. Stick it in their bug out bag. That way, when you can't find Lady Bear because it's under the crib or down behind the bed and you got 5 minutes to get out of your house, you already have it in the backpack. You have it ready to go, and your child will love having it. She'll never know the difference, believe me. Also, keep some small toys around. Keep them packed. Keep them prepped. Toys run out. They break. The dog chews them up. Have those backups that you may not be able to have access to in an SHTF situation. Decks of cards, puzzles, all these things will provide entertainment for your child. Even books. Stack up on the books. What child doesn't enjoy reading or being read to? Sketchbooks, crayons, colored pencils. These things are all important. My daughters love to sketch. They love to paint, as you can tell. And if she has that with her in her bag, ready to go, it's going to be comfort. It's going to add to the normalcy of the situation. And we need every little bit of that we can get. So I can't stress this enough. Focus on entertainment as well. Physical and mental health are both very important. Now, one thing I would say is I tend to shy away from electronic toys. We don't have game systems. We don't have the little Game Boys or the little beepy beepy cars or whatever it is. I can't help but get the images from A Quiet Place out of my mind in a certain situation where a noise goes off and something utterly terrible occurs. So in my opinion, I just don't stack them. No need for them. Now, my final topic here is bug out bags. Every child you have, no matter how old they are, should have a bug out bag. Now, obviously, they're not going to be carrying around a 70, 80-pound rucksack, but everything that they can carry will end up being something of value when push comes to shove. As I just said a minute ago, their favorite toy, if you have a double, make sure you stick it in there. Mr. Bear is going to save and secure your child's mental status and when you need it. And also make sure they get accustomed to using their bug out bag. Put it on them. Have them carry it around. Go for hikes. Go camping. My children love having a bug out bag. It makes them feel even more a part of the situation. When we go hiking, they're proud to be able to pull their own snacks out of their bag or to pull out their Sawyer Mini and try and get a drink from the river. You know, they need to be educated on using all the different things that you as a parent use as well. And that's going to be another topic that we'll discuss soon. I'd just like to remind you that yes, this may seem overwhelming. Yes, it may seem like a lot of things to think about. But we are here. Parents are here who prep. I know you don't hear a lot about it, and we're going to change that. We're going to make this a topic of discussion. All right, guys, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is going to continue to be a series that we're going to discuss more in depth. We're going to continue talking about prepping with your kids, not prepping apart from your kids. It is essential that your children are a part of your preparedness. That just as they're a part of your family, they're always going to be there with you, and they need to be involved in every step of the way. You never know when it's going to be time to bug out.
I'm ready.
All right, son, well, so am I. But luckily, it's not time to bug out yet. But we're going to help people be ready for when that situation does occur. So until then, be well.